Rover's booth at the New York International Auto Show, checking out the new Range Rover Sport, and Andrew's going to walk us through some of the differences and some of the cool features of the Range Rover. So, Andrew, do you want to just give us a quick overview of the instrument cluster here, or the infotainment system, and then we'll touch on the very cool digital instrument cluster over there.
Sure. So at Land Rover, we focus on touchscreens because we believe that's the best technology, that's the most intuitive and easiest for customers to use. So the touchscreen includes audio video systems. This particular car has rear seat entertainment, so that's included here. You can control that from the front. A hard drive based navigation system, and of course your Bluetooth phone when one is paired. We also, so we can briefly show you, I'll show you some audio video stuff. So you can do things like radio, you can do satellite radio, you can do multiple Sirius satellite radio not inserted. So you can do multiple things like control your DVD audio or CD, multiple sources like iPod, Bluetooth streaming audio, there's an aux jack, there's a USB jack, and of course you can download up to 10 discs in full fidelity onto the hard drive of the system. So you can do all that there. You can control video. For the front screen, you can actually watch a movie while the car is parked if you'd like, or you can control the rear screen, and there's 2 different programs that can play on the 2 different screens back there. So if you've got kids in the back, you can control it all back here, or you can allow them to do the control.
And there's also some RCA adapters in there, so you can play games if the kids have a video game system and keep it nice and quiet while you're driving.
Absolutely. And there's also Whitefire headphones back there. So if they're watching movies, you put on the headphones, you can listen to an audio program through the front system, and you don't have to worry about it. You can keep the kids nice and happy for the long drive. So besides that, of course, on-road navigation system. We also offer, and I didn't show you this in the preview, we also offer, let me go back. I didn't want to do a destination. I wanted to, I'm not going to be able to show it for you right now. There is off-road navigation as well. So, of course, it's a Land Rover. It's capable of going off-road. We want to encourage and help people when they do it. So if you go off-road on trails, it'll breadcrumb for you. It'll show you trails so you know how to get back home.
Right. Very important.
So not just roads. Obviously, we're sitting here in Manhattan. You can see those roads, and as we saw earlier, there's plenty of traffic on them.
Now, one of the things I want to point out to our readers is the junction view functionality. So, you want to just explain this real quick and the thought process behind junction view?
Sure. This vehicle is equipped with 5 surround cameras. There's 2 in the front bumper. There's 2 under the outside rear view mirrors, and there's 1 in the back. So, of course, you put the car in reverse, you get the backup camera. But if you select any of the other cameras, you get a complete view around the car. You can focus on just a couple of the cameras if you want, and we think this is one of the most usable functions of this that people could use on an everyday basis. So we've actually put the soft key out here to take you directly to it, and it's called junction view. So as you pull up to an intersection, if it's a blocked intersection, so you're pulling out between, say, 2 parked cars onto a street and trying to turn, in order to be able to see past those parked cars, you'd actually have to have your car like halfway out into the street in order to see. But this uses the cameras that are in the front bumper. They're pointed out in those directions, and you can see to the left and the right and see if traffic's coming. So it prevents you from pulling out into the street in front of a moving car.
Getting your front end taken off.
And it's so convenient. It's right there. It's just one button, right, immediately available to you, because we think it's important for people's safety.
Now we have the digital instrument cluster up there, and
this is standard on the big Range Rover. It's available on Range Rover Sport, and of course we're not powered up and running, so you're getting all kinds of messages up there telling us how to start it. But what it can do, it's 2 virtual gauges, and clearly you don't always need all of the information that's going to show in the center, so it prioritizes the information. If you're taking a Bluetooth phone call comes in, it'll put up who the caller is if it's in your phone book, or the phone number if it's not in your phone book. If you're listening to an audio program, a CD, a satellite radio, whatever, it'll put the channel and the artist up in the center of the 2 gauges. If you're going off-road, there's more information, more important information than the speedometer, because rarely are you ever in a speed limit when you're going off-road. You actually want to go slow and preserve the vehicle. So what it does is it takes that speedometer and moves it halfway off the screen, gives you just the portion of the speedo you might need for information purposes, and then prioritizes and gives you some information that I will show you. Some of the information is shown here in this 4x4 information screen. So this type of information will also appear in the center screen. So one of the things it'll do is it'll show you, these are your front wheels, what direction those front wheels are pointed.
Right.
Sounds like a silly thing, but if you've ever been off-road and in loose mud or sand or anything like that, you don't actually know where the wheel is pointed. The wheel could be straight up, but you could be turned a full lock to the right. If you're on the edge of a trail or on the edge of a cliff,
you want to know where
you want to know. So when you start going forward, you need to know where the wheels are pointed. It's a safety thing. It's one of those tricks for people off-roading.
And speaking of off-road, we want to talk about the terrain selector over here. So do you want to just kind of give us an understanding of what it'll do and the new auto feature?
Absolutely. So this is Terrain Response 2. We've had Terrain Response for a number of years. Terrain Response 2 actually has an auto function. So the basics of Terrain Response, it controls all of the traction control systems, the steering feel, the braking, the shift patterns, the throttle response. So it controls traction control systems, all of those things to optimize the off-road capability. Terrain Response 2 has the auto program. So you're driving down the road on a normal basis, Terrain Response is always active. It's always monitoring conditions and optimizing for you. If you're going off-road, you need more specialized programs. The car should drive differently, or you need to drive it differently if you're in sand versus if you're on slippery grass or if you're on rocks. Right? So the car knows how to optimize itself for that. So the old system, you would raise the button, you would tweak it, and you could put it in the different modes, and it optimizes all those systems, and that information is duplicated on the screen up there. The new system, if you just leave the button down and you're in low range, actually senses what it's doing and how it's gaining traction and determines, my wheels are slipping a great deal. I'm on wet grass, which is one of the most slippery surfaces. So I then sense and put the car in that terrain response mode automatically. So the car already does it for you. You don't even need to touch it. You might go another couple hundred feet and be on rocks. And once you're on rocks, it notices that you need that rock crawl program. So then it switches the system over to rock crawl. So it can essentially change as the conditions change, but it optimizes the program for those conditions.
Okay. Again, this is the new Range Rover Sport coming from Land Rover. It's a very cool car, truck. It's definitely made for off-roading, and there's some really interesting features here going on. So this is Dan Halley with Laptop Magazine, and we're reporting to you from the New York International Auto Show.